Watch out. While you were away, your neighbor looked through your home. Don't skip, my dear youngster. Unbelievable things are going to happen. The sounds of footsteps that weren't yours have been echoing through the air outside your house, whispering about you. A pair of eyes remained too close to your door while you were away, tracing the shape of your window as though looking for something that only you could conceal. Continue until the very end. What your neighbor witnessed was not typical. They were immobilized by it. When they got closer and saw what you had left behind, their breathing became shallow and perplexed. Their interest wasn't straightforward. It was entwined with interest, jealousy, and an old memory they never shared with you. You believed your home was silent and uninhabited when you departed that day. In actuality, though, it recalled each step that was taken. They were drawn in by the subtle scent of your favorite perfume that was still in the air. They weren't there to steal. They arrived to discover. Avoid skipping. It starts to twist at this point. Something inside your house changed the instant your neighbor walked through the door. A picture frame on your wall tilted just enough to indicate that you were no longer the only person in the room. They glanced at your photo and gently, as if making a confession, whispered your name rather than their own. Continue until the very end. Because they paused as if time itself demanded silence after discovering what was inside your chamber. They noticed something concealed that was weighty with truth rather than worth money. It was a tiny envelope with words not intended for their eyes that was left open on your desk. Your handwriting was on that envelope, but it didn't convey your feelings. It was written a few days earlier, almost like a warning, as though you knew this day would arrive. When the neighbor realized the letter was about them, they froze. Every statement expressed your suspicions and what you thought they had been concealing all along. There is something enormous in store for you. You wrote the date that corresponded to the day they came into your home in that letter, so don't skip it. In the same way that you are getting this message now, you have already seen this in a dream. Breathe deeply, my dear child. You'll be shaken by this part. They felt vulnerable as soon as they discovered that letter, as if someone had been reading their minds for months. Expecting to see cameras, your neighbor's eyes raced around the room, but all they saw was the sound of your name in the motionless air. Avoid skipping. Continue until the very end. Pretending to mend the coat that had fallen off the hanger, they opened your closet for a deeper purpose. They were looking for evidence that you were overly knowledgeable. Evidence that you had already noticed the false smile they had been sporting for years. They were unaware that everything had been captured by your phone on the table. Every whisper, every step, every sound, everything. The recording is now waiting for you to hit play. When you finally hear what they say before departing, something enormous is in store for you. They mumbled a regretful and fearful sentence beneath their breath before shutting the door. Long ago, I ought to have told them the truth. At that moment, they took one final glance back, as though bidding farewell to something they had never held. Continue until the very end. Because they will be drawn to you once more by their remorse tonight. They have been attempting to communicate with you, practicing their words, but they are unable to confront what you already know. They're going to call you out of fear that you've already found what they found, not out of love. Your life is about to take a drastic turn. Avoid skipping. They are withholding a reality that has nothing to do with your home. It's about what they found about themselves when they entered your environment. Remain motionless, my dear youngster. Everything comes together at this point. You overlooked that recording. It does more than just contain their voice. It contains a confession that you weren't meant to hear just yet. When you play it, 3 words that alter everything are shouted after your name in a shaky voice. I can recall every detail. Avoid skipping. They were more than simply neighbors. You don't realize how long they've known you. They didn't find anything in your home. It was a deep-seated recollection that was linked to something that had previously united your lives. They handled that letter as though it were a remnant of a past life. Your home's aroma, its rhythm, and its little nuances all evoked a divine, eerie feeling in them. Continue until the very end. Because heaven had planned this moment as a revelation rather than an invasion. They were not harmed. They began to recall. And when they eventually have the guts to give you a call, they will shortly say what they remembered. Avoid skipping. At first, the call will sound regular, but pay close attention. That identical door will be squeaking in the background. You will discover the truth in this way. From your porch, they are calling. This is your sign, my little child. The truth is being revealed by heaven. Your neighbor's inquisitiveness was a perfect opportunity to reveal a secret relationship. Something that began years ago when you two happened to cross paths in the middle of a starry night. The same energy that pulled them into your home is now drawing their heart toward you, so don't skip. Not only are they going to admit what they discovered, but they are also going to share their emotions. They now understand that what they found was not only your secret but also their fate. The letter served as a mirror rather than a warning. Everything they had denied was reflected in a mirror. Time was unable to remove the feeling, the yearning, the connection. Continue until the very end. There is something enormous in store for you. A call with a truth that can melt the ice between you will arrive in a matter of hours. The understanding that they were destined to discover what they did will cause their voice to shake, not because of terror. Now pay close attention. Remember this before this message finishes. Destiny never uses a stranger's hand when it knocks. Every seemingly dubious behavior was a celestial revelation choreographed by heaven. Avoid skipping. Your residence wasn't just inspected by your neighbor. For years, they discovered a piece of themselves lurking there. That portion is now making its way back to you. The next call won't come from them alone, so stay until the very end. It's a reminder from heaven itself that all the secrets are soon to come to light. Don't move, my dear youngster. The truth they've been afraid to tell you is included in this section. They are not going to make this call at random. It's the outcome of them spending restless nights reliving what they witnessed within your home. This is where their shame transforms into confession, so don't skip it. When you answer, the phone will ring softly and there will be a heavy hush, like someone straining to breathe through memories. Their voice will be readily recognizable to you. Uneasy, low, and uncertain. Your name won't be mentioned first. Rather, they will murmur, "I didn't intend to discover it." Your heart will begin to race at that point since you will be aware that they are discussing the discovery they made. Continue until the very end. They will claim to have checked your house to make sure it was secure, but their tone will convey a different message. The voice of someone who has gone too far. They'll talk about how your diary on the table seemed to draw them in and how your mirror wavered as they passed. They didn't intend to read it, but a few phrases drew their attention, and they contained a truth that could only have been written by heaven through you. Avoid skipping. There is something enormous in store for you. Because you had described an emotion, a pull, an energy that had recently enveloped your house in that notebook. You said you felt eyes looking, yet you felt destiny rather than dread. You spoke of a link, an odd feeling that someone close to you was connected to your mission. A wave of astonishment swept through them as they read those words. Because their sentiments for you, which they had been concealing, were exactly reflected in every description and emotion you wrote. Layer by layer, my darling child's confession is about to be revealed. They will acknowledge that they were drawn to your house not by curiosity but rather by a deeper kind of affection that would not go away. You must hear how long they have been holding this truth, so stay until the very end. They'll claim that your home has always had a unique feel about it, a sense of tranquility that they can't find anywhere else. The tranquil rhythm of your corridor, the aroma of your candle. The air seems to recall them. They weren't only inspecting your house. They were searching for the part of themselves that was missing. Avoid skipping. They'll tell you that they discovered something else. A partially faded snapshot of you standing close to the garden with your face exposed to sunshine. They were astonished to see their handwriting on the back of the image, which was dated years before you had ever met, even though it wasn't brand new. Continue until the very end. That picture was there even though it wasn't supposed to be there. Evidence that even before time gave you language, fate had been circling you both. They became aware that they had previously seen you. Their soul never forgot, even though their mind had vanished in an instant. There is something enormous in store for you. Don't turn your head away. You will be very moved by this portion, my little child. It wasn't by accident that the picture was there. It served as a link between two timelines for heaven. One in which you two unintentionally crossed paths and the other in which you are being led back to complete what was left unfinished. They will describe how, as soon as they touched the frame, their hearts began to race, as though a heavenly force was coursing through them. They claimed to have heard a faint murmur reverberating through the deserted space. It was a genuine whisper that said, "You were meant to return here. Don't skip." It originated from the portion of your soul that was able to identify theirs before your minds could. It explains the sudden warmth you've been experiencing lately and the way thinking about them makes your chest shine. It's not a coincidence. It's the reactivation of a long-sealed bond from above. Continue until the very end. They will become more truthful in their confession. They will claim that they arrived to your house that day because they noticed something odd. When you weren't supposed to be there, a light appeared in your window. They believed it to be dangerous. However, they were at peace once they were inside. And now they can't get that calm out of their minds. Listen closely, my darling child. This is not your typical tale. It's a revelation that was just waiting for you to experience it. The neighbor who used to dwell in silence is now a divine messenger. Although their call will seem to be the end, it is really just the beginning. Don't miss it, since heaven will arrange something unexpected after their confession. There will be a subliminal message conveyed by the call's timing, the words they speak, and even the background noise. The wind chimes that you used to hear outside your house will now be ringing from their side. Continue until the very end. That sound indicates that heaven is verifying the reconciliation of truth as well as hearts. They didn't get hurt. They intervened because fate required two spirits who had been separated for too long to meet. There is something enormous in store for you. They're not just phoning to apologize. They are phoning to express their silent affection for you. And now heaven won't allow that quiet to last. Breathe, my dear child. Experience the moment. Everything is being drawn into divine alignment by heaven. Don't become upset when you get that call. React with empathy. Something outside of your control is guiding both of you. Avoid skipping. Because what happens next will depend on your response. You will be able to access the next phase of this divine relationship if your heart is forgiving. As soon as you declare, "I understand," the wind will change and your soul will feel lighter, like a door opening. Continue until the very end. Your body will experience a warm wave and a surge of energy. That's heaven endorsing your decision. And in that moment, you'll realize that everything that was stolen, concealed, or misinterpreted was only adjusted by divine timing to get you to this point. So don't be afraid of what they discovered. You didn't keep it a secret. Your mutual destiny was only waiting to be discovered. Remain motionless and pay attention, my dear youngster. This is the time when your destiny crosses the threshold. The air surrounding you has changed since the call ended. Something has changed. You can feel it flowing through your walls like an unavoidable heartbeat. Something ancient has been reawakened. Avoid skipping. Tonight, the evening light will curve strangely, creating a shine on your floor that wasn't there before. And as you stand close to your window, you'll see a familiar but cautious silhouette outside. They are the ones. The identical neighbor who passed your house a few days ago is now standing beneath the still sky, clutching something to their chest. Continue until the very end. They won't knock immediately. They will wait, gazing at your door as if it were the entrance to their own recollections. Before it occurs, you will sense it. A gentle pressure within your heart. The air will thicken as you crank the handle and hear a whisper from inside that says, "Open now." It's time. Not in terror, but in acknowledgement. Avoid skipping. They bring a truth enveloped in silence rather than a gift. When your eyes meet theirs, silence will speak louder than words. You'll see that their tears are now coming from realization rather than guilt. They've now realized that they were never meant to discover your secret, as the cosmos has been trying to tell them all along. They were supposed to come across you. Stay with this, my little child. Every area of your house seems to come back to life as soon as they enter. The air is filled with the aroma of jasmine. It's the same scent you lit before departing. They'll give you the little packet you assumed they had opened, but this time it's meticulously, almost politely, sealed. Avoid skipping. You will discover something you did not write when you open it. Yes, it was the same letter, but it was rewritten in their own hand. Each line is loaded with their heart, but it also reflects your own. They reacted to your words rather than copying them. Like a conversation between two souls who have been conversing throughout time, each sentence responds to the feelings you wrote. Continue until the very end. Lines like, "I didn't enter to take. I entered to remember," and "the picture wasn't yours to hide," are examples of what you'll read. It was ours to discover. At that point, warmth will take the place of coldness on your skin. It comes from realization, not from the air. This rendezvous was prearranged by heaven even before you moved into that residence. Avoid skipping. Right now, every breath is sacred. The beat of fate is precisely aligned with every sound. Now pay close attention, my little youngster. They'll admit something they've never disclosed to anyone. They'll claim that even before they knew you lived there, they had been dreaming about your house for months. The dream's conclusion was always the same. A letter on a desk, your name faintly glimmering on the paper, a door partially open. Continue until the very end. Curiosity took over when they noticed your lights were off that day. It wasn't merely curiosity, though. The divine time had a magnetic attraction. Now, heaven had whispered into their dream. They came for that reason. They believed they were entering someone's home. In actuality, they were returning to their own destiny. Avoid skipping. You'll see it when you gaze into their eyes. Your soul has been waiting for the same acknowledgement. It's not infatuation. It's remembering. The kind that seems timeless, serene, and inexplicable. The universe is precise but gentle, my dear child. Walls cannot separate two forces that are designed to come together. It was alignment, not trespassing, when your neighbor came to visit. Continue until the very end. Because the talk won't feel fresh when they sit down across from you. Every syllable will seem practiced yet authentic, as though you two have already said these things beneath a different sky in a previous existence. They will claim to have discovered a journal page wedged between the drawers in addition to your letter. And a sentence that made their hearts freeze. The key to a promise I never got to keep is in the hands of someone close to me. Don't skip the part where they murmur, "That was me, wasn't it?" as they glance up at you. Heaven has been preparing for this moment. Inhale, my dear youngster. Feel how all of the uncertainty starts to make sense. You were being prepared for this moment by the dreams, the timing, the whispering, and the slanted frame. They'll claim that at first they didn't comprehend what they saw. Something in that room opened a recollection, whether it was the picture, the date, or your handwriting. They recalled helping your family move furniture in that very area years ago, before they ever knew who you would become. Continue until the very end. It will hit you at that point. The memories, the light, and the smell all line up. Long before your voyage had started, the person you assumed to be just a neighbor was involved. They were not dispatched to launch an invasion. They were dispatched as a reminder. Avoid skipping. There will be silence once more. Heavy but holy. It's strange, but your house felt like home, they will whisper as they gaze at you. You'll also have a gut feeling that this isn't merely a coincidence. Heaven doesn't repeat moments unless they are incomplete blessings, my dear child. This was never about privacy or terror. It was about divine correction, reconciliation, and closure. Avoid skipping. There is something enormous in store for you. Because an unanticipated calm will descend upon you both while you sit there. Like the previous evening, the sound of far-off wind chimes will reverberate across the atmosphere. This time, however, it will sound calmer and softer, like though heaven is breathing through your room. Continue until the very end. For the first time, they will grin, a genuine smile free of uncertainty or guilt. They will be grateful for your presence rather than your pardon.